Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. As you can tell, this video is going to be about Melania Trump's blatant plagiarizing of Michelle Obama's speech from the Democratic Convention of 2008. So the Republican convention is going on right now in Ohio. Trump has been formally nominated as, the Republican candidate for presidency. So the convention's going on. It's been getting wild. They formally nominated Trump, so they're really going to ride this Trump thing through to the end, which just really still seems like a practical joke. It's just like mind-numbing. And so Melania Trump, his wife, gave a speech. She gave an address at the Republican convention last night. And she's giving the speech, and she's going on about and me and my husband, we're instilling these values in our children, and we want to teach people that it's all about how hard you work and what you can do with your dreams, and and she's going for it. She's going for it. She's talking in this thick, heavy accent because she's an immigrant, right? She's an immigrant, right? She's from Slovenia, I want to say. So she's a European immigrant to this country, which again, people spout, and especially Trump, they spout this anti-immigrant, rhetoric, but like you're married to an immigrant, but that's because we're talking about like who's the right kind of immigrants and who's the wrong kind of immigrants, right? Like our whole country was made up of people that came over here from Europe and wiped out the indigenous population, but they were immigrants, but yet there's this and it's our country and take our country back, and it's like, no, well actually like go back to Europe and take your wife with you because she's an immigrant, if that's how we're going to play things. But anyways, so she's giving her speech, and at the end she gets this like applause, and and everyone and all the Republicans are tweeting about it, and then they're just like, oh my gosh, like that speech was just so amazing and so wonderful. And a California U.S. Senate candidate by the name of Tom Del Beccaro, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Tom Del Beccaro, actually tweeted out, Melania Trump proved tonight that she is the total opposite of Michelle O, aka Michelle Obama. No anger, no complaints, just about what can happen through opportunity. Now, irony of all ironies, turns out that Melania Trump stole that speech from Michelle Obama. Not the entire speech. It's kind of like how when you plagiarize an essay in high school and you don't want to get caught, so you switch a few words around, but really you stole the whole thing from motherfucking SparkNotes. That's what Melania, if SparkNotes is even still a thing. Like, I know I just took it way back to like 2008 on y'all, but like we used to use SparkNotes and stuff like that. So like how when you try to like steal an essay and plagiarize it, so you switch a couple words here and there, you switch a few phrases around, but you didn't write the shit. You didn't write it. You plagiarized it. You stole it. People immediately began noticing the similarities between Melania's speech and Michelle Obama's speech from 2008, and quick as a flash, the motherfucking Twitter detectives got on it, and they had these side-by-side comparison videos, and she plagiarized the speech. She ripped the speech off. And yet Tom Del Beccaro and plenty of other Republicans and plenty of other racists, what did he say? Melania Trump proved tonight that she is the total opposite of Michelle O. No anger, no complaints, just about what can happen through opportunity. Now, the exact same words coming out of Melania Trump, a white woman's mouth, they were not angry, they were not complaining, they were just about what can happen through opportunity. But those words coming out of Michelle Obama's mouth, a black woman's mouth, oh, they were angry. Oh, they were complaining. Oh, they were whining. Oh, they were just like not American, not what America is about. Even though Michelle Obama is a black American, right? She's an American. She was born here. She's an American. Melania Trump is an immigrant that was born in another country that came here, but yet somehow she's more American, and she's not whining, and she's not complaining. What's the difference between Michelle Obama and Melania Trump, except Michelle Obama actually is an American citizen that was born in this country? Oh, Michelle Obama's black. Michelle Obama's black, and Melania Trump is white. Interesting about how being a white woman automatically makes you into something soft and delicate and not angry and not complaining. It doesn't matter what you actually say, right? It doesn't matter what the actual words are coming out of your mouth. If you're a black woman, you will be seen as angry, you will be seen as complaining, you will be seen as all these things. If you're a white woman, you will be seen as soft and delicate and innocent, just like we were motherfucking just talking about with Taylor Swift. This is like the part 2 video to watch whiteness work, to watch white feminism work. And black women are always the target of plagiarism, which is what we're talking about, plagiarism. Black women are always a target of plagiarism for this reason, because people know that they can get away with it, right? If you steal a black woman's words and you're a white woman, no matter how impassioned the words are, no matter how, and I mean, even if you're not stealing a black woman's words, no matter what white women say, they're never seen as angry. They're never called angry. They're never called bitter. They're never said that they have an attitude. I remember there was a trending topic going around on Twitter, and I can't remember the trending topic right now, but somebody had put something. What was that? I can't remember. It was something about it was loud black girls. Loud black girls. I want to say loud black girls was the trending topic. And somebody has said, like, I'm a loud black girl, like, even when I'm not even loud, because, like, people at my workplace tell me that I'm intimidating because I'm a loud black girl and I'm always angry. She's like, but when I asked them to actually describe a time where I actually was angry or yelled in the workplace or was loud, they couldn't even think of anything. It was just something that they assigned onto me as a stereotype just because I'm black and a woman. Like, it doesn't matter what I actually said or did. They had, like, already put this label on me. She was like, meanwhile, I have white female coworkers that are routinely loud, screaming, crying, falling to pieces, and no one says anything. They get a pat on the back and a rub on the shoulders, and, told to take some personal time and told that everything's going to be okay. They're never called, shrill, angry, white fucking bitch vampires. They're just, oh, you poor, delicate little, flower angel of life, like, oh, Sue Ellen, it's okay, it's gonna be all right. It's very different. No matter what you say or how you say it, when you're a white woman, you will be seen as innocent, as soft, as delicate, as pure, as something worthy of protection. You might catch heat for what you're saying because you're a woman, so you're gonna definitely catch sexist heat from the patriarchy, and gendered slurs and misogyny, but you're not going to catch heat because you're white. Like, you're not going to catch anything racial. It's going to be gendered, but it's never going to be that you're bitter and angry because you're white. Like, that's just never going to happen. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to be seen as, again, innocent, soft, delicate, pure, someone worthy of protection, just like Taylor Swift, right? And this is what we even saw play out with Melania. You saw these people, flooding social media. Oh, well, it's not her fault. And I'm sure she had speechwriters, even though she came out herself and said, like, yeah, I wrote the speech myself. She said to Matt Lauer, oh, I wrote the speech myself. I didn't get any help. Nobody helped me, maybe with 1 or 2 words, but I worked on it for like 5 to 6 weeks. I had people help me because English is not my first language, but, like, I wrote it myself. Like, they're not even going to let her own her truth of motherfucking plagiarizing. She stepped out and said she wrote the shit. The shit was plagiarized. Let her fucking stand in her truth. No. Oh, and I'm sure she used speechwriters, and, I'm sure it was the fault of an intern, that maybe she did something to the intern, so the intern got back at her by, slipping a couple paragraphs in. And not to even say that those things probably didn't happen, because they probably did, because people do work with speechwriters all the time. But again, why do we rush to make these excuses for these white women when they get caught? When they get caught doing something wrong. She got caught doing something wrong. She got caught plagiarizing. Taylor Swift got caught doing something wrong. She got caught in a lie. But instead of, holding them personally accountable for their actions, we have to rush to fucking defend Becky. But somebody said about Taylor Swift, Becky with the bad character, because she's a white woman. Because poor motherfucking Iggy, right? Because poor them. Meanwhile, the exact same words coming from Michelle Obama were angry and complaining and whining. If you steal a black woman's words and you're a white woman, it's gonna be perceived totally different regardless of what the words actually are, just because you're white and the other woman is black. And if you steal a black woman's words and you're a white man, you just won't even be questioned at all, because white men are seen as an authority on any given motherfucking subject, because they hit the privilege jackpot of being both white and male. Like, they have the privilege of being a man who knows about things and they have the privilege of being a white person who can never be wrong, right? So what is the inverse of that? Being both black and a woman. You're wrong because you're black, and you're doubly wrong because you're a woman. And so that just makes all of our ideas really ripe for the picking. And the plagiarizing of black women is nothing new, is very standard, is something that we see all the time, is something that we see all the time on social media, is something that we see all the time in any types of media, you know, of hashtags being co-opted, of whole entire essays being plagiarized and then published in major, you know, mainstream publications that then when you call them out on it, you know, the white man or the white woman that stole it then says like, oh, well, pitch me. Oh, well, you should pitch me. Like, or you should not target the ideas and the work of black women to plagiarize because you know they're a marginalized voice and because you know that you have this weight of whiteness, which I've talked about before, right? The weight that is given to their opinion, the weight that is given to their thoughts, you know, the weight that is given to their ideas, even if those are not even their thoughts and ideas, this weight is still given to it just because they're white, you know? And again, this makes black women just really particularly vulnerable to plagiarism because we stand on the polar opposite end of the spectrum, disregarded because we are both women as well as black, you know, and it just plays off of this idea that marginalized voices don't hold weight, right? We don't have that weight, and they don't hold weight until they are recognized, legitimized, or, you know, in some cases straight up regurgitated, you know, rebranded, stolen, plagiarized by whiteness. And all this, you know what else this also reminds me of besides Taylor Swift, BuzzFeed. It reminds me of BuzzFeed because BuzzFeed has been called out repeatedly for plagiarism. Recently, Akilah Hughes, she's Akilah obviously on YouTube and on Twitter and across social media platforms, and she called them out for plagiarizing content, for stealing her content, her videos. And BuzzFeed has been called out repeatedly for stealing content. And Kat Blaque, who I love, who's awesome, she also made a video about how she's been approached, you know, to create content for BuzzFeed. And when asked about payment, they said like, oh, well, we don't pay. We, BuzzFeed, giant fucking conglomerate, we can't afford to fucking pay you. Now, we can afford to use your work and monetize that and make money off of that. And it's going to get millions and millions of hits, which are going to put money in our pockets. But we can't afford to pay you. And you should just be happy that as a marginalized voice, you're getting this big old platform, you know? Like, they target marginalized voices specifically, women of color specifically, black women specifically. And there's this idea of, you know, well, just be happy that you're getting recognized at all, you know? Which is also typically the cornerstone of cultural appropriation arguments, right? Like, oh, just be happy that white folks are recognizing you, right? Because white folks' opinions are the only opinions that matter. The stance that Donald Trump's camp took on, you know, Melania's plagiarism, they said practically the same thing that BuzzFeed said when they were called out by Akilah. Obviously, they said, well, first of all, your ideas don't belong to anyone, you know, they belong to the internet, and you know, it doesn't really matter, and, you know, on some, we can do whatever we want to you, black girl, because your thoughts and your ideas aren't even your own, and what you gonna do about it? Who gonna check me, boo, type shit, you know? And then Trump said, like, well, the Obamas don't own these words, and again, you had people that were even excusing the fact that she even did it, and like, oh, well, it wasn't her fault, and blah, 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 and they basically said, like, sorry, not sorry, well, the Obamas don't own these words, and anybody could say it. So Ladetta Bryan was like, this is a great excuse for plagiarism, plagiarize a paper, and be like, yeah, I plagiarized it, but the author didn't own those words, like, they didn't create those words, so you can't tell me that I can't use them, you know? BuzzFeed, oh, well, marginalized groups don't own those ideas, they don't own those concepts. Cultural appropriators, oh, black people don't own those hairstyles, they don't own that type of dress, they don't own those slang words. All of these excuses to normalize the stealing and the plagiarizing of content from marginalized voices, especially black people, and especially black women, and that just goes hand in hand with, again, the excuse of, well, poor white woman, she didn't know, and protect her, it's not her fault, and you know, you angry, bitter black girls, and you know, you guys just can't be happy, like, you're stealing content, and then you dress it up, and you slap some blonde hair on it, and you call it something different, bring it on, and it gets perceived as something different, and it gets perceived as something better, and it gets perceived as something superior, and that's white supremacy. That's watch whiteness work. That's watch white feminism work. That's watch white supremacy work in a nutshell, right? All these excuses to just normalize stealing and plagiarizing and running roughshod over people and just not giving a fuck because you're white, and especially if you're a white man, and even if you're a white woman because you have white female privilege, you know, taking credit for other people's words and works and accomplishments, especially those of Black women, you know, downplaying our achievements while bigging up themselves. And it's really absurd to witness and to watch play out, because like I said, it's like the Taylor Swift shit part 2. Like, white girl gets caught doing something wrong, but we all gonna fucking rally around her and protect her. And the fact that you had people that literally just loved her speech and said that it's the polar opposite of Michelle Obama, and there's no anger, you know, and there's no complaining. Using words like angry, complaining, whining, bitter, these are loaded terms. These are very specific terms used to address Black women. And and make no mistake, he's not addressing anything that came out of Michelle Obama's mouth, actually. He's not addressing anything that she said or did, actually. He's talking about her being a Black woman, period. Because the exact same words came out of a white woman's mouth, and they were perceived completely differently. And there's just no getting around it. And then they said, well, the words don't belong to the Obamas, so who cares if we stole from those niggers? I don't give a fuck. I don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. And they don't have to be held accountable for their actions, just like Taylor Swift, because whiteness is just amazing. Because whiteness is just amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing the way that it works. It's amazing, you know? Like, it's absurd, you know? It's absurd. You're just going to straight up take credit for somebody else's work and then look that person in the face and say, well, it never belonged to you. And you should just be grateful that, you know, my exalted whiteness took notice of your Black ass and took your stuff. Like, yes, I ran away with your stuff, and you better be happy about it, because your stuff ain't even worth shit unless it's coming out of my white mouth, or unless it's appearing on a white person's body, or unless a white person likes it. Until they add that weight of whiteness to it, until they put that stamp of approval on it, it ain't shit. And yet again, that's the way that white supremacy works, you know? And even Black people have been conditioned to think this way, like I've talked about in other videos. Oh, it's Black owned? No, I don't want it. I want what the white folks use. And again, that idea, in my opinion, goes back to integration, you know, but I have a whole other video on that. And, you know, it's just another, a U.S. congressman at the convention said, like, oh, and white people are the only people that have contributed to society, right? Which again, how do we get there? How do we get to the point of people really saying out of their mouths and believing, saying on national television, that white people are the only people that have contributed anything to society? You have revisionist history, you have white supremacist curriculum that's taught in school, and you have appropriation. You have appropriation of ideas, of concepts, of cultures, you know, into this myth, this mythology of like the white person that did everything, you know? And this is also how that forms. This is also how you end up with people that believe that, you know, white people did everything and created everything, because they'll snatch the words right out your mouth and look you in your face and say, well, it didn't belong to you. It's mine now. And then they'll go down in the history books as having created it. It just came out recently that Jack Daniels, the recipe for Jack Daniels, was created by a Black person. You know, people were talking on Twitter about like, oh, I can't believe that guy said that. Like, you know, irrigation systems that were created by ancient Egyptians, the movable type that was created by the Chinese, the entire spice trade that was created, which was how they even fucking came across this country. Like, but no, you have people that will really sit there on national television and be like, yes, and white people did everything, and the rest of y'all didn't do shit. And I dare you to say that it's not true. I actually did want to read you guys some tweets about that, because people came up with some really good things that other people invented, but he really like stood there like, well, not in my world, didn't happen in my world, you know? So Representative Steve King, he was the one that said that white people did everything. Rep Steve King shouldn't be allowed to use any inventions created by people who are not white. No elevators, no microphones, no pacemakers, nothing created with math, science. God forbid if he needs a blood transfusion or open heart surgery. These were all things invented by people of color and especially black people. I don't want to say Stephen King. Let me not do Stephen King like that. Steve King's comments are textbook white supremacy, and he's a sitting U.S. congressman, that went on national TV and said that white people are the only people that have contributed to society, and these are your congressmen, okay? And for people responding to this tweet, please look up Alexander Miles, James E. West, and Otis Boykin. And of course, I will have links in the description box if you guys want to read up about these people. The whole Republican convention is a mess, honestly. It's a big old mess. And at the same time, Leslie Jones has been ran off of Twitter by racists, complaining about the Ghostbusters movie. I made my own video about what I felt was a stereotypical role that they assigned her in the movie. But that's just my opinion. That doesn't mean she deserves to get ran off Twitter by fucking racists. Like, that's just disgusting. Like, I just hate everything and I hate everyone. Like, life is just too much right now. So, a lot of people wanted to know what did I think about this whole Melania plagiarizing Michelle Obama thing. And that's what I think. And it's nothing new. Again, watch Whiteness Work Part 2. Watch Why Feminism Work Part 2. And that shit probably going to play out again tomorrow in a different way. Because that's the way that it works. Again, these are systems. People love to act like racism is about, like, individual acts of racism and shit like that. Like, no, it's about systems that have been in place for decades and for centuries, playing out over and over and over again in front of us, systemically. So you just have to, like, start recognizing the patterns when you see them. And that's just all I have to say about it. Republican National Convention is a mess. I don't know who thought that she would be able to get away with plagiarizing the sitting first lady, but she thought, you motherfucking thought, bitch, you thought. So, Taylor Swift has Instagram removing snake emojis from her page. If you put a snake emoji on her page, it instantly gets deleted seconds later and you get banned. But they say they can't get rid of the fucking racist trolls that are tormenting Leslie Jones on Twitter. They could get rid of Azalea Banks with a quickness for the shit that she said and did, but they can't get rid of people that actually fucking threaten you with racist motherfucking threats, because that's, like, not against the policies. Again, just watch Whiteness Work. Watch it work. Watch your motherfucking work. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.